rent $2,000 a month and I'm only getting $15 an hour at this fast food restaurant. Why do I live here?
Is $20 an hour the true minimum required to live in the United States? We're going to be looking at some people that are over that dollar amount, some people that are under, some people that are at that dollar amount, and have a discussion. Before we begin, obviously you can make it work with lower than that, but the minimum in this case, for the purposes of this video, is to not live check to check with like 90% of your income going to bills. Can you pay your bills and have at least like $100 left? That's what we're going to be looking at.
Okay, let's actually break down what $20 an hour actually means in real life terms. I'm going to do the calculations for my state, you do the calculations for your state, they're going to differ. So that's only about $40,000 a year before taxes. Then after federal tax, state tax, Social Security, disability insurance, all of those deductions, that's about $32,000 a year. And that's roughly $2,600 a month. And let's say your rent is about $1,500 a month. In my area, that's good enough for like a mid-tier studio and maybe a rough one-bedroom. So now you've only got about $1,100 left for food, gas, your car payment, insurance, healthcare, and whatever you want to save to. That's not that much money. So if you can make it on $20 an hour alone, it just means that something or someone is subsidizing you. And that's okay. And in fact, that's why I say you're privileged to be able to take those jobs that just pay that little.
$20 an hour in California is damn near the same as making $13 an hour anywhere else, because California is the third most expensive state to live in. So it's not the best example, but let's say this. I used to make $20 an hour in Oregon, which is ranked 15th most expensive. I was making $1,200 every 2 weeks, so about $2,400 a month, which on paper is not terrible, but the average rent price in Oregon is $1,480. So that would have been half my income. In California, the average rent for a one bedroom is $2,397. So it's literally impossible to live without roommates unless you want all your income going towards your apartment.
Do y'all remember when having a long-term roommate meant that you were in the closet? Like if you've been living with the same man or woman for all these years, you had to be gay, right? Now everybody got a fucking roommate. The cost of living is so fucking expensive that I don't know what percentage of Americans it is, but I'm pretty sure more than 50% of Americans need a roommate to be able to afford to survive in this economy. Minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. Meanwhile, a one-bedroom apartment can run you over $1,000 a month. The fact that the federal minimum wage has not changed since June of 2009 is fucking insane. How are people supposed to be able to afford to live? People making minimum wage don't even make that much a month working 40 hours a week after taxes are taken out. If you're making $15 an hour, you can probably afford to live by yourself, but not if you want to have a car note and car insurance, because with the prices of those things, you got to be making at least $25, $30 an hour. What about food? What about feeding yourself? I really don't think it's realistic in the state of the world to live alone unless you're making at least $5,000, $6,000 a month. What do y'all think?
I'm really interested in the percentage of people that live with roommates out of necessity. If you're comfortable sharing that, please do in the comments, or if you have had that experience. I know me personally, I have lived with roommates before, and there's pros, there's cons, but truly, if it were always up to me, I would choose living alone, at least having that option 100% of the time. But look how hard it is to do that nowadays, and it seems like something so simple and something obvious. Like, yes, if you work full-time, you should be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment, especially when you see in a lot of areas any open land is or eventually will be turned into an apartment complex.
One of the worst things ever is living in a place that does not have high wages. And I know it means the cost of living is low. For reference, I live in a very rural area, but that means that all of the customer service jobs are paying literally the bare minimum. I'm not getting paid $7.25, but I'm not getting paid much better. It genuinely makes me crash out, because like if I want to save up for something that like anybody could buy, right? Like a plane ticket, if I want to save up for a concert ticket, if I want to save up for like anything that is not relative to where I am living, like groceries or gas or stuff like that, I have to work like twice as long and twice as hard to make the same amount of money. So infuriating. Like if I look at the wages in like LA, like they make like $20 an hour, and I'm like, I literally would kill to make $20 an hour. I have not made more than like okay, I'm not gonna say my wage on the internet, but it's not 20. It's not 20, and I really wish that it was. It's just 100% needs to change, because like even things are getting expensive, like here, like I'm paying for gas and car insurance and all the stuff that I want to get. Like it is getting a lot for what we get paid, and it makes it a million times harder to get out of the low paying area also, because you need to save up for so much more if you want to move somewhere that pays better. One day I will escape, but I'm gonna have to work my ass off to be able to do that. So fun.
Here we have someone who says she saw people in Los Angeles making $20 an hour and she wishes she made that much. What's funny about that is they probably make the functional equivalent to whatever she makes in her area. Meaning, although she didn't say how much she makes, for all she knows, her, let's say $15 an hour gets her the same or even more in her area than $20 an hour does for someone in Los Angeles.
You can buy a home by working minimum wage jobs, and I am living proof of that. When I was 18, I started working retail. Granted, sure, I was in management. I was getting overtime. I was not making minimum wage. I was actually making pretty good money. I was also working a second job. Like I said, 70 to 80 hours a week. Sure, I gave up a little bit more time than most people, but I was still able to have a work-life balance. I was still able to go out and enjoy my life. My point is that you can achieve buying a home too, as long as you keep your expenses low and you're able to save money. There are so many ways you can do that. One, I lived with roommates, so I was able to save money through that. I was only paying $500 for rent per month. I was giving myself a budget for gas, groceries, and so forth. There are so many ways you can do it, but it's really up to, are you willing to sacrifice enough to do it? And I only sacrificed 5 years, sure, but I'm still in my 20s. Now I'm able to afford a home. I didn't lose much. Before you guys say like, oh, well, it's probably because of your social media income. No, I didn't start making money from social media until this year. And that is not even included in my net worth. When I did get my net worth of $150K, that all came from working 2 jobs for 5 years straight, hustling my ass off. So I am living proof that if I can do it, you can too. Everyone's situation is different, but the truth is, if you work hard, you can achieve it. The whole reason I even started working 2 jobs in the first place, because I want to prove that if you work hard, you can buy a home.
There is something to say about hard work, sacrificing things, and being patient, but to be honest, I don't think there's a lack of that. Especially a lack of working hard. I don't even think many people aspire to own a home anymore, which is what this young lady is talking about, and props to her. I just think most people at this point want to be comfortable, not even in a big house or a fancy car, just not constantly worrying about money and having the ability to treat themselves to just like above average things, like a nice restaurant every now and then or new clothes every now and then. You know, this is assuming you don't have children and, you know, buying those things without feeling guilty or being scared to do so.
$18 an hour. $18 an hour. I was driving earlier and I saw a gas station with a sign in the window that said $18 an hour with great benefits. Now, I'm not trying to knock on cashier jobs or minimum wage jobs. You gotta work to get the money somehow, right? But how are we supposed to survive on $18 an hour in the year of 2025? Like, in this economy, there's no way you can pay off your rent, utilities, car payments off of 18 an hour. Now, I obviously can't say anything because I'm unemployed. I'm looking at jobs, auto applying on Sprout. But I feel as a society, we need to do something about this. Like, can something be done? If you have any ideas, please let me know.
What's crazy is you would expect a gas station job to be paid closer to minimum wage depending on the state. That is absolutely no knock on gas station workers at all. I'm just being realistic. But what does this tell us? That you could work a simple job and make $18 an hour. Think 10 years ago, I was making like $9 an hour. $18 an hour for a gas station job sounds amazing, except that $18 isn't gonna do shit for you if you're on your own. So again, what does this tell us? What is the true minimum wage to live in this country?
I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this, or you guys are going to be behind me on this, but how do people live off of $5,000 a month? It seems impossible. My bills at the end of the month, fixed and variable, come out to $3,500, and I don't even have a car payment. So theoretically, that means that I'm left with $1,500 to save. That doesn't count unexpected doctor bills, expected car issues, saving for taxes. I genuinely want to know how people do it. Life is so dang expensive. And $5,000 just doesn't cut it anymore. I don't care if you disagree with me. This is a big part of why I broke out of that like 9-to-5 culture. This is part of the reason why I became an entrepreneur, and why I help other people become business owners as well. Life just isn't fair. You don't get paid enough to make a comfortable living. It's like assumed in this world that everything is dual income, that when you're paying rent or when you have a house, it's not that bad because it's dual income. Well, newsflash, not everyone is married. Not everyone lives with their partner. There are people out there, 25, 26, 27, 23, 24 years old, who have to pay all their bills on their own. They don't have support. I just get so riled up about this because corporate 9-to-5 culture, being employed, just, they know what they're doing to you.
This one is probably going to piss a lot of people off, and I get it. First off, the 9-to-5 is not a culture. It's literally just a work schedule. It just means you have a job that pays you hourly, which I would confidently assume is the majority of people. And just watching that video, look, a lot of people would kill to make $5K a month, and that would easily cover all their bases with no complaints. But at the same time, there is some truth to it. It just depends on where you live. Earlier, we saw the average rent for a 1-bedroom in California was almost $2,500, which would be half of this woman's income. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know what you think of just the idea behind it. Is $20 an hour the bare minimum to even having a chance of a comfortable life? Obviously, when it comes to things like money, it's all relative to one's situation. We all live different lives. And I want to end it on saying, if you're broke or have been broke, you know that shit just eats you alive, and it occupies like every waking hour of your day. So just be nice to people, man. You know, don't take things too personally. Everyone's just getting cooked financially, so it makes sense as to why someone might not be in the best mood on any given day. I always think about how things in America specifically would be a little better if every working, decent person made a comfortable living and wasn't bogged down by debt and bills. But hey, thanks for watching this video, man. Peace.